Every minute, thousands of commercial jets navigate a borderless sky without conflict. This order is maintained by physics in the cockpit and a specific architecture of international law on the ground. Civil aviation is the only transport system that requires absolute global uniformity to function. Without a single shared set of rules, every international flight would become a series of diplomatic dead ends. I'm Capt.GhostAviator. Over the last 17 years, I've instructed pilots across global flight paths, and I've found that the same hurdle stops students from mastering the regulations. When you open the DGCA Air Regulations syllabus, you see a daunting list of disconnected articles and annexes intended for rote memorization. We are going to map that syllabus onto this wireframe, showing how each regulation supports the next in a single, buildable model. By the end of this breakdown, you will see the systemic logic that governs the sky. The timeline starts here, at the 1919 Paris Convention. This was the first international agreement on civil aviation, creating preliminary technical standards and the International Commission on Air Navigation. Paris was superseded in 1944 by the Chicago Convention. This treaty established the legal framework India follows today. Returning to our blueprint, the Chicago Convention serves as the foundation. The first block comprises Articles 1 and 2, which establish that every state has complete and exclusive sovereignty over the airspace above its territory. Article 3 specifies that the convention applies only to civil aircraft. State aircraft, such as military or police services, must obtain special authorization to fly over the territory of another state. Article 7 defines cabotage. This restricts foreign aircraft from carrying passengers or cargo between 2 points within the territory of another state for hire. Articles 10 through 16 handle daily operations, mandating that aircraft land at designated customs airports and ensuring that air regulations apply equally to all aircraft, regardless of nationality. Articles 17 through 21 establish nationality rules. An aircraft takes the nationality of the state in which it is registered, and dual registration is forbidden. The next block covers Articles 22 through 35. These focus on facilitation, minimizing delays in customs and immigration, and list the mandatory documents, like the journey logbook and certificates of airworthiness, that must be carried on board. Finally, Articles 37 through 42 mandate the adoption of international standards and require states to notify the Council of any differences between national practices and those standards. The Chicago Convention provides the constitutional framework that makes a unified global aviation system legally possible. To manage this framework, the Chicago Convention created the International Civil Aviation Organization. It is a specialized agency of the United Nations, headquartered in Montreal. ICAO is organized into the Assembly, which includes all member states, the Council, a 36-state executive body, and technical bodies like the Air Navigation Commission. On our blueprint, ICAO rises as a central pillar. Its output is SARPs, Standards and Recommended Practices. Standards are mandatory for safety and regularity, while recommended practices are desirable for efficiency. These SARPs are detailed in 19 annexes. For the exam, focus on these branches: Annex 1 for licensing, Annex 2 for rules of the air, Annex 7 for registration, and Annex 8 for airworthiness. We continue with Annex 11 for air traffic services, Annex 13 for aircraft accident investigation, and Annex 14 for aerodromes. The final tested group includes Annex 17 for security, Annex 18 for dangerous goods, and Annex 19 for safety management. ICAO also issues PANs, or Procedures for Air Navigation Services, for operational details that are too technical for the annexes, and SUPs for regional requirements. These annexes serve as a universal technical language, ensuring 193 sovereign nations do not create 193 conflicting sets of technical standards. Chicago also established the freedoms of the air. While India subscribes to the Transit Agreement for technical freedoms, it does not subscribe to the Transport Agreement for commercial freedoms. The first freedom is the privilege to fly across a foreign territory without landing. The second freedom allows a landing for non-traffic purposes, such as refueling or maintenance. The third and fourth freedoms cover commercial transport, dropping off passengers from the home state into a foreign state and picking up passengers in that foreign state to bring back home. The fifth freedom is the privilege to pick up passengers in one foreign state and drop them off in a second foreign state. These freedoms provide the commercial foundation for international airlines to operate between nations. We now add two pillars to our blueprint to handle conflict and risk: security and liability. The 1963 Tokyo Convention establishes jurisdiction and empowers the pilot in command to restrain unruly passengers. It defines an aircraft as being in flight from the moment power is applied for takeoff until the landing run ends. The 1970 Hague Convention focuses on hijacking and extradition, while the Montreal Conventions of 1971 and 1991 cover sabotage, interference, and the detection of explosives. In the liability pillar, the 1929 Warsaw Convention unifies rules for international carriage and limits the financial liability of carriers for injury or loss. The 1952 Rome Convention covers damage caused by foreign aircraft to third parties on the ground. India has not ratified this convention. Finally, the Geneva and Cape Town Conventions establish legal rights for aircraft financing, leasing, and mortgages. While Chicago prevents accidents through technical standards, these conventions provide the protocols for jurisdiction and compensation when things go wrong. These global treaties are only enforceable through national agencies. In India, the Ministry of Civil Aviation is the ultimate authority, formulating policy and administering the Aircraft Act of 1934. The DGCA acts as the regulator, translating ICAO annexes into local civil aviation requirements. They are responsible for registering aircraft and licensing pilots and maintenance engineers. The Airports Authority of India is the operator. They manage the nation's airports and provide the air traffic services and navigation aids required for flight. Chicago provides the international theory, but the DGCA provides the rules you are legally bound to follow in Indian airspace. This is the completed master blueprint of aviation law. The sky is defined by the Chicago Convention, standardized by ICAO, and protected by the Security and Liability Conventions. Within India, these standards are enforced through the Ministry of Civil Aviation and the DGCA. Take a screenshot of this diagram. Use it as a filter for your study material. It will help you identify the specific legal context of any DGCA question. Master this structure. A professional pilot must understand the environment they operate in as thoroughly as the aircraft they fly. Professional airmanship requires both technical skill in the cockpit and a thorough command of the regulatory system that allows the aircraft to operate within the global network.